I'll tell you what, folks, I just sat down with my budget worksheet, pencil, paper, and a calculator. And you know what? I cut my expenditures by 15.1%. That's real savings, and I froze my salary, saving the taxpayers over $1,800. I'm doing this to try to save money for the residents of Fayette County because the commissioners have raised your taxes 78.2% in just 6 years. That's not right. On November 4th, 2025, vote for me, Jon Marietta, for Recorder of Deeds. Let's keep fighting for fiscal sanity and protect your hard-earned money.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of Jon Marietta and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Fayette County Recorder of Deeds Office or Fayette County government. This program is privately produced and funded, and no county resources are used for its production or promotion.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was trucking up the highway, minding my own lane, with some dude in a Prius went and flipped me off. Guess my redneck hit him wrong. Seems like everyone these days is a ticking time bomb full of hate for folks like me who don't agree and ain't ever gonna change. And it gets me thinking, leave this long-haired country.
Hey everybody, this is Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly, and it's another Trump-tastic day here in Fayette County. Today's show is being brought to you by Miles' Garage and Tire Center, Mung's Auto Body, Fayette County Recovery Storage and U-Haul, Country Motor Sales, Gunslingers in Connellsville, JB Market in Dunbar, Thundering Hills Feed and Supply, The Ink Spot, Fayette County MAGA Patriots Group, Solid Foundation Ministries, New Life Free Methodist Church, Highline Motorsports, Gun Owners of America, Hillbilly Jon Radio, and Jon Marietta for We the People. It's a beautiful day out there, and I think the only team in Fayette County that's playing in Fayette County is Fraser playing tonight. Nick?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, that's some. Laurel Highlands is playing, and so is I think Brownsville's playing at Brownsville. So, anyways, we'll be getting a football game here somewhere tonight. Okay, let's get started. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. That's 2 Corinthians 3:17. Folks, I'll tell you what. Liberty means something. It's not just a slogan. It's not just a bumper sticker. Liberty means you have the right to speak, the right to ask questions, and the right to be heard without being silenced because some politician didn't like what you had to say. And today we've got a special guest with me who knows a whole lot about fighting for liberty. I'm joined by Brittany, a friend of mine. She's running for office out in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And she's also running for a seat on the Libertarian Party's National Committee in 2026 at the big convention. Now, full disclosure, she's somebody I met in the medical freedom circles, somebody I've worked alongside, and somebody I proudly endorse for her respected office. But let me tell you, Brittany is more than a candidate. She's the state lead of the Ladies Liberty Alliance. She's the founder of the Libertarian Party's Medical Freedom Caucus, and she's a voice for libertarians, not just across this state, but across the entire nation, including right here in Fayette County. And today we're going to talk about something real important, how my opponent is trying to silence those voices, not because this caucus has endorsed me, which they did, by the way, but because they dared to ask questions politicians don't want to answer. Now, let me stop right here and tell you the truth. In this whole campaign, I've blocked exactly 2 people on my Facebook page. And you know why? Because they crossed the line during the Charlie Kirk vigil. Vulgar statements, constant harassment. But even then, I've since unblocked everybody. Because I believe even my harshest critics ought to have the right to comment. That's liberty. That's free speech. That's where we're supposed to stand for. That's what we're supposed to stand for in this country. But my opponent, he's gone the other way. He's blocked voices. He silenced political entities. And here's the kicker. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania defines a politician as an individual who holds or is seeking public office and engages in activities to influence policy, votes, or governance. That's not just a title, folks. It's a responsibility. And when you silence a caucus, when you shut down debate, you're not just being thin-skinned, you're violating the very duty of a politician in this Commonwealth. That's why the Medical Freedom Caucus intends to file suit if he doesn't unblock them. Because silencing a caucus, silencing a movement is not just politics, it's an act on free speech. And folks, you don't need a lawyer to tell you this. If a candidate can't handle tough questions right now, what do you think he'll do if he gets in office? So today, with Brittany, we're going to cut through the noise and talk about what liberty really looks like. It looks like open debate. It looks like transparency. And it looks like accountability. And it looks like standing firm when the establishment says sit down. Let me get my headset on. Are you with me today? Are you there, Brittany?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can. I'll turn up the volume just a wee little bit. How's everything in Bucks County? Is it a pretty day out there?
It is. I was out earlier today visiting some patients, but I am home now for the evening, so it's definitely been a nice day. Got a little toasty, but still nice for October.
Well, like I tell everybody, it's a Trump-tastic day here in Fayette County. So, I guess people need to. Who are you? Who's Brittany? And why liberty matters? Let's get started right there. For listeners here in Fayette County who might not know who you are yet, tell us about your background and what inspired you to get involved in the liberty movement.
So, quick introduction on myself and who I am. I am Brittany, obviously, as you introduced me, but I am a mom first and a wife second. We live in Bucks County, born and raised, so I'm all the way on the southeastern part of the state. But I'm very involved in medical, mostly because my primary profession is a nurse. I'm an emergency room nurse, and I also deal with pediatric home care. So I kind of get a little bit of everything. I did come up through the ranks in medical as an EMT first since 2007. Been a nurse since 2015, so I'm not new to the medical world. But when I'm also big into politics, got into politics in 2021, 2022, towards the end and kind of actually the height of all the COVID craziness. Being an ER nurse, I was seeing a lot of stuff I didn't like and a lot of things that were really getting me concerned about people's freedoms and liberties and just liberty in general. And that got me really involved in politics. And with that, that's kind of how I got started with everything and how I really started working on I switched parties and actually registered as Libertarian. I was originally, when I first registered as a teenager, as independent. Joined Republicans for a little bit because thought I had to be part of a major party to have a say, and then found out that being a Libertarian, I can have just as much say and actually have and make a decision, a difference in some decisions, in votes. And I got started with that, started the Medical Freedom Caucus, and pretty much I have been going from there. I've run for state rep. I've run for township supervisor. I'm running again for township supervisor, and kind of really have been helping other politicians and other moms and parents and stuff kind of decide if they want to run for office or find them a candidate to help them support that aligns with their views. And I also got involved with Ladies of Liberty Alliance, and that's just really helping promote women in politics and liberty and freedoms and giving women a voice and courage and really using all of their great talents to the best and production of every community that they live in, and really helping make everything a little better.
You also got an endorsement from, you're going to have to tell me, I know it's the Conservative Nurses. Is that?
Conservative Nurses of America. I just got that endorsement this week.
And I was just contacted by them just the other day. So I'm hoping to get that. I'm hoping to get that endorsement also. I have 2 daughters that are nurses, and it's it's a good thing. We need nurses to be involved because they have to deal with things at a different level than what the normal person does, and that's, I can leave it at that. But you're a nurse, I mean, you walk into a situation and you have to be able to be reactive all the time. And I think nurses would make very good political leaders myself, because they understand that things have to be moving forward all the time. So, anyways, I know that Bucks County is going to have the National Libertarian Committee out there, and I guess why is it important for libertarians to have a stronger national voice? I think that's a pretty obvious question, but I'll let you go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so Bucks County's having Pennsylvania's convention for the state. I think we're in Grand Rapids next year, 26, for national. But with it, a big thing is to have a strong national view or stance or position in politics for a third party is very important, because you need to let people know that there's other options than just the 2 major parties, and they pretty much feed off of each other. Knowing that there's a third option out there, or 4th or 5th or 6th, depending on the third, quote-unquote, third party, it's always important to give people choices. And I give my little elevator speech to everybody when they ask why I became a libertarian and why not just stay as a Republican or join as a Democrat. I go and say, well, you like more than 2 choices at the grocery store for items. Why can't we have more than 2 choices in politics? And I go and say, I'm like, you need a 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th choice, because the others are too expensive to have a different ingredients you don't like. You don't like their packaging, whatever. There's a choice. You're going to pick whatever fits in your life and what your family and your personal views need. And I have a big thing with, in order to have a strong national presence, especially as libertarians, we need to have a strong states underneath. Each state has to be strong and reinforced and have strong and be a good support system for the national. And in order to have a strong state, you need to have strong county affiliates. And that's my big thing is build. You don't want to build your house upon the sand. You want to build your house upon a rock. And
yeah, I think you probably read that in the Bible.
I think so. having a strong foundation in any movement is something that's really important, because that way you can have that strong national presence. And that's what I'm pushing for, running for Libertarian National Committee in 26.
Well, I think you've probably you've pretty much narrowed my questions down here. One of the things I do want to ask you about is in Fayette County right now there's, I believe, like 7,500 independents, third party people, which is kind of a good thing. It's growing. It might be a little bit more than that. It might be a little bit less, but we'll just say 7,500. So, and out of that third party segment, it looks like there's real close to 1,000 people that are registered libertarians. I think it's important that we listen to all of these people, not just the D's or the R's. I think it's important we have to listen to all these people, because if we don't, we're leaving a segment out of our population. They might only be, maybe 10% of the voting rank right now. Actually, the Libertarian Party is the third biggest party in the country, I believe. Do I have that right?
Yeah, so we're up there. Yeah, I think we're the third largest.
I think we have to listen to these people. We have to, and we have to try. President Trump actually did that. He did that in his last campaign. He realized that the independents and the libertarians were important for him to be reelected. He also one of the things that I do give him kudos for is he put Robert Kennedy, which was an independent, is the Secretary of Health. I think I got that correct. And I think that's how you got to make things work. It doesn't have to be always the party that you're affiliated with to get all the appointments. I think we have to start looking outside. Tulsi Gabbard's another. She left the Democrat Party and she was an independent, and I believe now she did switch to be a Republican. But let's talk about something here right here in Fayette County. It seems like the Medical Freedom Caucus has endorsed me. There's no doubt about it. And the guy that's running against me, he decided to block your page. What's your reaction to that?
So with that, I get why people would want to block other people, and it's because they don't want to have they want to have their echo chamber present. They don't want to hear any discourse. They don't want to hear any contradictory to their beliefs. And I get it. I get why someone would want to block someone. But the problem is with that is we as a caucus are seeking information from candidates for our voter base. Like you said, there's a decent chunk of voters in that area that are not registered ROD. Well, our point of a caucus is to collect data and present it straight up facts as we get them in, and present it to our constituents that are in your guys' area, and say like, hey, John Marietta, he answered these questions, here's his answers, and here's his opponent, here's what we asked them these questions, and they didn't answer us. Well, that the point of us reaching out and pushing and basically sometimes playing devil's advocate is just that, to get the candidates thinking and wanting to maybe change their position on something, or think about their position on something, or take these third-party constituents into consideration. And by blocking the caucus on social media, you're silencing a large chunk of your voter base, and basically telling them that I don't care about your opinion, and I don't care about a caucus or anything like that. And it's actually an infringement on everyone's First Amendment right of freedom of speech. And you might not have to like what we say, but as long as we're not being aggressive, threatening, vulgar, anything like that, we're not doing anything wrong when we're just asking questions or voicing our dissent against the statement you've made. There's no reason to block us because our opinions are different than yours. So by doing that, you're basically infringing on our First Amendment right and saying, I don't care about you. And that's not what is expected of a politician. They're supposed to take everyone's opinions into consideration, and they're not allowed to silence groups and caucuses and political clubs or anything like that, because again, they're representing constituents. Okay, so in that area,
you've answered the next 3 or 4 questions I had written down here for you. But anyways, and that's good because I like to let my guests speak, and I like to let them speak freely. One of the things I do want to ask you about, by doing all these things, it shows just what a candidate's leadership is all about, and you kind of reiterated on that. But if they can't get a handle on questions from grassroots groups, then where are they going to stand when the going gets tough? When you got a software program that just crashed on you at 8:30 in the morning or in the middle of the day, and you got to try to figure out how to get things back up in a hurry. I mean, you can't just stand there and look at it. You got to jump on it and get it done. That's one of the things that with the internet here in Fayette County, which the two of us have back and forth on a lot of different things. And you say, John, I don't understand why you don't have my email. And I said, when did you send it? And you'll say, like 5 minutes ago. And I said, well, as soon as we get the internet back up, I said it bobbles so much here because of the way it's been put together in a hodgepodge way. You got to be able to be reactive, and a lot of times, it takes a cell phone and somebody to use your cell phone as a hotspot to get a hold of somebody or get something up and going. I just wonder how all that's going to work out for my candidate. But I think one of the things that we really need to talk about, and that it's important, is what do you see as the biggest issues facing Pennsylvania families right now? You're on one side of the state. I'm on the other side of the state. Of course, Marty, he's up in the middle of the state where anything, just nothing but corn up there. But anyways, I think about a lot of these different things, how the Constitution Party and the Republican Party and the Libertarians, and a lot of the independents, they kind of mix together. But what do you think the biggest thing is right now that's wrong with that our people in Pennsylvania facing? I can tell you right now what our biggest problem here is in Fayette County. It's the burden of taxes. We've been overtaxed for so long that people were starting to really, there's liable to be a revolt or an uprising here because it just keeps getting worse. But anyways, I'll let you go ahead.
So I think I'm right outside Philadelphia. I'm in a pretty, I guess I would say, affluent county. Bucks County, we are pretty middle. I wouldn't even say 'cause middle class doesn't exist anymore. If you have it, it's probably a little bit more upper middle, but we have it. I would definitely say taxes is one thing. Thus, libertarian taxation is theft. Cannot go throughout any conversation without at least stating that at least once. But taxes, fees, permit fees, it's the nickeling and diming from the local government on the families is one big thing. Another thing is just general inflation. What I would have been able to get at the grocery store in 2020, and at the same time, my family size has not changed from 2019 to now. I still have 3 kids and 2 adults. So from 2020 to now, 5 years different, the amount of stuff that I can get for the grocery store at the same price is ridiculous. I used to be able to get a full overflowing cart, maybe 2 carts, for $250. I can maybe fill a cart, maybe, for $250 to feed my family for a couple weeks. It's ridiculous. In addition to having to travel, with the distances I have to go for different things, because a lot of stuff I have to go into Philly or up into Allentown. It's a little bit of a travel for some stuff. Gas prices are a big thing, and it's tough. Just coming, I've come out and visit you guys a couple times now, driving across the state from Philadelphia area out towards Pittsburgh area has been just seeing the prices of different things changing across the state is insane. Some things are more expensive and others are cheaper, but they all balance out that everything's still more expensive. But again, like it going to like those permit fees and stuff, regulations have changed, and they're making things so much harder for families to do things or be able to do things or make decisions for their family. And a little bit with schooling and stuff, with everything with that. I have 2 special needs children. All 3 of my children have some level of IEP or 504 in school. I ended up pulling my oldest out of public schools and doing a private online school for him, and so he could graduate at 16. I went, and my 2 younger ones, they're almost 12 and just turned 6. I'm having to like fight with the school for the youngest to get him an outside agency to be his like one-to-one in class. And they're trying to say, well, it's just our policy that we only hire internal staff and only have one-to-ones that are employees of the school district. If anyone knows anything about what's been going on in my school district in Central Bucks, we just had a student last school year or school year before, within the last year or so, was basically neglected, abused, and everything, and they were denied basic human needs of restroom and water because they were special needs and the teacher didn't want to be bothered. And that was how they handled the situation. And that student had a one-to-one, and that student had an aide, and that everything just felt, the Swiss cheese model was non-existent out there. And if anyone doesn't understand what the Swiss cheese model is if you layer enough slices of Swiss cheese together, you shouldn't be able to get through to the end, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
You might get through a couple layers, but you should not be able to get through every single layer. Well, when it happens and it fails, they go from beginning to end and nothing gets caught in the nets. And that seems to be a little bit of what happened here, that things just piled up and went through. And that's my school district. And like no one seemed to be doing anything about it at the time. Now, because it's been brought up to the news and has the Wizard of Oz moment, the curtain has been pulled aside, now people want to do something about it. But the fact that the family, I can't do anything and have an outside agency was really concerning.
I think part of the problem with the school districts are that they're so overburdened with so many different things, but the debt load that they carry, it's kind of like the same as the county level. Actually, the county is looking at, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of debt. But you start putting all these factors in, and then what happens is a lot of things, they get cut. I love to go to football games, you know that, and I feel it's sad when you see. I remember when I went to high school, Uniontown. I can't tell you how many people were in a band, and Connersville had a huge band, and Little Brownsville, had one of the best bands in this whole entire Southwest area. Frazier, all these people. It was a big thing, and what they've done is they've eliminated a lot of that money because that's where they could cut without too much screaming. And it's the same on your side of the state as it's on this side of the state. Because I see the football games on TV. I see the high school football games on TV. And when Connersville used to dress, I don't know, 60 or 70, and I don't know what they're dressing now for a football game, but Brownsville used to dress 35 or 40, and that's where we're at. But anyways, I think the biggest thing is the burden of taxes on everybody. I really, 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 really believe that. I think it's an overbearing thing, whether it's county level or the school districts. And you have a lot of people like you that pull their kids out of school and they end up in a private situation because they have to do that. And then but they still have to pay school taxes also. So, but anyways, hey, do you want to conclude with anything? We got a minute or two here. We got about a minute. So if you want to conclude with anything, I'll let you.
So I've been kind of stalking our comments here a little bit, which could be good or bad. But at this point, it looks like Mr. Santilli is out there commenting, saying that this doesn't apply to candidates. My statement of blocking or not blocking different caucuses and stuff and different groups on social media. Now, I would like to welcome him to educate himself a little bit on what different things apply to candidates, because as a candidate, you still fall under the thing of a politician because you're running for an office, you're seeking votes. So there is a case out there, Linsky v. Freed, and that is spelled LINDKE versus the FREED, so that he can go educate himself a little bit. But I gladly welcome him to debate, and we can have the League of Women Voters be the moderators. I would gladly love to ask him the questions that my caucus has been trying to get him to answer. So,
well, I appreciate you calling in. We'll get you back on. I know that I got a couple things I got to do with a couple different people that are with the endorsements and some other things that are going on. So, thanks for calling in. Good luck with your race, and I'll probably see you. I'll probably see you in about 30 days or 25 days or something. So, take care.
Less than 3 weeks, John.
Yep.
Less than 3 weeks.
Yep. Hey, you take care. So
You too.
I want to close up with this. If you got a football team you want to go root for, go out. Laurel Hines is playing at home tonight. So is Brownsville, I believe. So go ahead and do it, and I appreciate it. On this road called life, you have to take the good with the bad. Smile when you're sad, love what you got, and remember what you had. Always forgive and try to forget. People change. Things go wrong. Just remember, the ride goes on. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. I am John Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.